start. We're recording. All right. So thank you all so much for joining. As I say, we'll just give it one more minute as people start to join before we really get started. But I just want to say thank you so very much. It's been a roller coaster for everybody, I'm sure, in kind of every avenue of your life over the past few months. And we're just really grateful. On behalf, I'm Julia Batchelder from Maine Cancer Foundation, and we are so very grateful for everything, all of your efforts. I know we've made changes not only to the event from a logistical standpoint, but also for fundraising. And I don't know if anyone saw the post that we put on Facebook today, the WMTW bit about some of the ways that we've been pivoting to try to support cancer patients in this time. So it's true that we can't say enough that the dollars we raised this year, we might not hit 2 million, but each dollar is going to be so critical, and we're so very grateful. So I just want to see if anyone else is trying to get in. It doesn't look like it. So I will now try to share my screen if I can get really fancy just for a moment. And share screen. Share. Can you guys see my PowerPoint?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So just wanted to say a quick shout out to some of our sponsors, or all of our sponsors rather. It has obviously been a tough year for many of them as well, and we've been really fortunate to have the response that we've gotten from our sponsors who are hanging in there with us. So if you go through some of these businesses in your daily life, or we're thinking about it, we can't speak highly enough about them. So big thank you. And today, Julie and Maura are both here on behalf of She Jams in a sense. Julie is the race director, but also heads up She Jams. So we're very grateful to them and to all of our sponsors. So big thank you to them. Just a reminder about upcoming clinics. We still have the bike, the swim, and the transition clinics coming up. You can register for those if you haven't already at tryforacure.org/clinics. That's also where we post the recordings of clinics afterwards. So feel free. Last week I got it up the next day, so hopefully I'll get this one up tomorrow as well if you want to refer back to it. And then just a little bit about fundraising. So as you all hopefully know, we did remove the obligation to fundraise this year. We don't want anyone to feel, that they are going to have their credit card hit if for some reason they aren't able to fundraise. We're definitely encouraging it. As I said, it's, the cause is perhaps more important than it ever has been for people who are facing a cancer diagnosis right now. So we have made some adjustments. The level now to get your medal and your shirt is $250, so that we dropped down from $500. Then we have a hat, the sea bag. The sea bag's at $750, which is half of what it normally is. I love the design this year, so that's obviously still a big stretch. But if you're feeling up for it, we hope you'll work hard to get it because it is a beautiful bag. There's a Yeti tumbler. And then also a beautiful piece by Chart Metalworks, a little keepsake box that has the same design as the sea bag. And then just our contact information. I'm sure you guys, many of you have communicated with us before, but if you have any questions, please don't ever hesitate to reach out to us. We'd like to hear from you, especially right now where we're all alone. I'm sitting in my house all day, every day by myself during the day. So love to answer questions. So please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And again, just thank you. It's definitely a different year, but we're excited about kind of some of the flexibility that this year gives us, and just again, so very grateful to each one of you. So I will now stop sharing my screen, and we're back to the video. Okay, so I'm going to now pass it over to Julie. Many of you, I'm sure, know Julie is the founder and race director here at Try for a Cure, and she'll talk some more about running. So thanks, Julie.
Well, we're starting with running this year on the clinics first because it's probably the easiest thing to do right now. Just throw your sneakers on and go out, right? The weather is beautiful. Today would have been a perfect day for a run. As a matter of fact, last night, 2 nights ago, we went for a group run with She Jams, and it's just really nice to be outside right now. So please throw your shoes on and get out there and do what you can. So how many first timers this year are doing the race this time? No first timers? Or am I not seeing everybody? Okay. Anyway, how about any survivors? No. Okay. Well, that's okay. I always like to see if there are some. You guys may have heard my story before. Back in 2004, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and prior to that, my mother had been diagnosed with breast cancer. But what was different for me was that I had a friend that actually challenged me to do a triathlon. I'm not sure how the two of them related, but for me, doing a triathlon, as I was not an athlete before at all, it did so much for me in the long run. It changed how I live, and it changed all the friends that did it with me, how they live too. And I think it was probably one of the most one of the best things I've ever done in my life was cross the finish line. So, and the reason why it changed is I never thought that I could do anything like that. And if you have a goal of accomplishing a goal and you actually accomplish it, it's amazing what it can do for your mind, your body, everything else. And, you know, as you can see, what's led us to have Try for a Cure, which has just been phenomenal, because there's so many other women that want to feel what it felt like I did when I crossed the finish line. So even though your finish line will be a little bit different this year, doesn't mean that it can't be as fulfilling as it was the day that I crossed the line and the day that you will too. So we hope that you find that these clinics are helpful. And, you know, again, our intent with all of this is to make you feel more comfortable with doing what you're doing. So if you have any questions or concerns along the way, please ask, because no question is stupid. And, you know, we're here for you. But the purpose of the Run Clinic is really to familiarize yourself with running, Try for a Cure, race tips, safety, all that kind of thing. Since we're not actually doing it on the race course, there's no need to go over the race course. Whatever course that you choose is your race course. You know, so, you know, actually the virtual thing is a big question mark in so many minds. What does that mean? It means that you do your race in your own time, your own place, and your own pace. There's nobody timing you. You don't need to do it at Try for a Cure course. You can do it right from your house. And, you know, nobody is asking you to turn in your times, although we will provide you with a sheet that, you know, just if you want to show accountability of how many, you know, if you ran so many miles, if you swam so many, you know, whatever you did, there will be a place for you to record all those things. But, you know, they don't matter this year. It's about accomplishing a goal. And so that's what this year is all about. For your triathlon, you can choose to swim, bike, run. You can run, bike, run. You can be part of a relay. You can just do one part of it. You can do two parts of it. You just do whatever is appropriate for you. But make a goal. It's really important to like write down what your goal is maybe now. And that's where you get that fulfillment, is when you actually reach that goal and you feel good at doing it. So with running, you know, it's one of those things that most people think, oh, okay, what's the art of running? You just put on your shoes and you go for a run. Well, sure, it can be as simple as that, or it's, you know, to a professional runner, it's much more complicated than that. And we're certainly not going to turn you all into professional runners. But there's certainly lots of things to think about when you are running. Some of the things may be like, you know, just even what to wear. I know it seems simple, but, you know, I will say in every clinic, you'll hear us all say cotton is a killer. So you don't want to run in cotton. No matter what you run in, whether it be shorts, a running skirt, and any kind of top, you're going to want some kind of performance top. It doesn't have to be even performance. Back in my day, I think that polyester was definitely out, but when you're running or doing any kind of athletic event, polyester wear is in. It's breathable, it dries really quickly, and if you're caught in a rainstorm or if it's really hot, it's breathable and it can dry. So that's why it's really good. The other thing that's really important is that you are visible to anybody who's out on the road with you if you're running on the road. You know, you hear lots of stories every year of people getting hurt, cars getting hit. You know, the more visible you can be and running on the right side of the road and running safely, the better off you are. And running shoes are important too. Maura, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that. But, you know, when you run, sunglasses are great. I know I have a hard time running without them, or a hat or a visor is really good too. So, you know, it's pretty basic what you need, but a good pair of running shoes is probably the most important thing that you can do for yourself if you're going to run. I used to always pick the pink ones or the ones that look the cutest, but I've learned, unfortunately, when I go have my foot looked at, it's not those that are the right ones for me to run in. And so I've learned to not be so vain when it comes to my running shoes. They need to really fit me well and are comfortable. So anyway, so for the race, the race is August 1st to August 30th. You can get your run in at any time. I would assume that you will want to practice before you get to that. Maybe your goal is to run all 3 miles for your run during that time. And so now you would follow some kind of plan to get you there. If you're walking now, there's great run walk programs that you can look up on online. You can hit Couch to 5K, and there's some really great programs out there. So, you know, you don't have to run. If your goal is to walk faster for the run, that's fine too. Again, the run portion can be run, it can be walked, it can be jogged, it can be crawled. No matter how you want to do it, it's good. Even if we were at the Try for a Cure site, it's good too. A lot of people say, I can't run, so I can't do Try for a Cure. And I always say, well, I'm sorry that you think it's that way. You can do whatever you want to get from the start to the finish. So your excuse is not good enough. You still need to try. I think the most important part really is safety about the run. And, you know, again, now there's a lot of safety around CDC things and social distancing and stuff like that. I know with She Jams, we're running with 10 and under groups. If you're on the road, please run on the left-hand side of the road facing traffic. I see time after time people running with traffic. With a bike, that's very different because you're moving so fast. But with running as a runner, you really want to be able to see the oncoming traffic. Again, brightly colored clothing. Try not to run during peak times. And don't run during the night. And if you're at dusk, that you should make sure you have some kind of reflective gear on to get you back into the you know, off the streets. And I always say no iPods. I mean, everybody has them on out there. On race day, you cannot wear them with us. I mean, if you're doing them yourself on your own, that's up to you. I wouldn't recommend it, and mostly because if you can't hear something, you just can't react to it. And so if you've got the ear pods and you're looking at the birds over here and a car is coming, you're not going to hear a thing. And we've all been in instances, whether we're driving the car or running, where it can get hairy. So the more that you add to that, the worse it can be. So I wouldn't run with earpods. When we run with She Jams, we never have iPods. And you get used to it after a while. You know, if you're doing a long distance race, like a marathon or something like that, and all the roads are closed, that's different. But even then I didn't. Again, the race is 3.1 miles. Again, no one's going to hold you to 3.1 miles. So if you make your goal 10 miles, awesome for you because maybe you're a runner, and so you want to make this year your goal 10 miles for your try. That's fine. Make your mile. If you can't do 3 miles, fine. It doesn't really matter. But again, make a goal. The best thing to do, especially on race day, is to have an idea of what your goal is and map it out so that you're not out there running around in circles trying to get whatever mileage is that you want. So if you're going through for the traditional 3.1 miles, you go to Map My Run and you figure out a route. By then you should probably have one by your house that you're comfortable with. I mean, this year you're going to be able to pick a route. It can be completely flat or it could be completely downhill. It could be any route. It's not going to be ours. Actually, the Try for a Cure is pretty flat, but you can make it whatever you want it to be. Maybe it's a whole uphill for 3 miles because that's the challenge you've chosen for yourself this year. Julia's laughing, but some people are like that. They want to, they want that big challenge out there. Me, I would choose, running around the Shaw's parking lot because it was completely flat. It is not my thing, running. But, choose what you want, have it mapped out so that, it's easier for you to accomplish. Okay. And definitely, since the run comes last, if you choose it to be last, have somebody there waiting for you with some kind of prize at the end when you get done. The best way to measure your run is usually with a Garmin, but if you don't have to have those kind of things, if you have it mapped out on Map My Run, you'll know how long it is anyway. So that's all that really matters. You can use a treadmill too. If you don't want to run out on the roads, you can use a treadmill. So that's definitely an option. And trail running is an option this year too. I have really bad knees. So if any of you have ever run at Pineland, it is absolutely beautiful there to run, and it's so much more forgiving on your knees. So if you like trail running, it's something that you can do there too. And it's just, it's something different. You should try it if you have any trails around your house. Best to do the really good ones without any stumps or tree roots because you can definitely trip over those, and they're pretty easy. But there's some great trails out there, like the Greenbelt is fabulous to run on. I'm going to turn it over to Maura because Maura is actually the run expert. She knows more about, form and warming up and cooling down. I've known Maura, I don't know how many years, 4 or 5. I think the first time I met her, she was doing Try for a Cure for the first time, and she came to She Jams to get trained, and she ended up being our run coach. Maura is an avid runner. She also came in the top 10, I think year 10 at Try for a Cure. And I think you've done that a couple of times. So she's a great fundraiser too. So if you have fundraising tips for her, please don't hesitate to ask. Maura, I'm going to let you go on and talk about, warming up and all that great stuff.
I'm Maura. Hello. Yes, this will be actually my 5th Try for a Cure this year. So I think it was 2016 was my first one. And I've been a runner for, I don't know, it goes back to like elementary school when I started track and field. So I've been running my whole life. But I could not swim. And so when I signed up, I thought I could never do a triathlon. I can't swim. So I put it off. I always wanted to do one, put it off for every year. And then for some reason, I signed up for that Try for a Cure lottery. I went and watched some friends one year, and I was like, oh, I'll put in for it. And then I got in, and I was like, oh, crap. Like, I have to learn to swim. So for me, the swim is the hardest. But like Julie was saying, I've been running forever. I've run many, marathons, but doing the Try for a Cure and swimming and finishing that Try for a Cure the first time, I was more emotional with joy than any other race I've ever done. So yeah, if you're one of those people that says I can't swim or I can't bike or I can't run, yes, you can. So, but definitely Julie hit a little bit on some things. I'll just keep going with some tips. But running sneakers, definitely, that's the first thing I say. You need good running sneakers, if anything at all. And I do know Fleet Feet and Lamy Wellahan are good places to get a good fit for your running sneakers. I'm not sure about Lamy Wellahan, but I do know right now Fleet Feet, while they're closed, you can call them up and they can talk you through a fit over the phone, and I think they'll ship the sneakers to you. So there are ways to still find that right fit shoe for you. That's very important because there are, like Julie was saying, there are many different styles and there are different brands and there are different kinds of running sneakers. And if you're not in the right one for your foot and how you walk or how you run, then it can be the difference between injury or not. So I recommend running sneakers also if you have some, but they're old. I recommend changing your running shoes every 400 to 500 miles. Um, so if you haven't tracked that, that's okay. I usually say if your running sneakers are a year old, it's probably time to replace them, even if they don't have that mileage on them, because they do break down. There are some good apps out there that you can track mileage if you're really diligent. I'm very diligent because have I've had injuries, and so I've learned I change my sneakers at 400 miles, no matter what. So I still have running sneakers that look brand new, and people are like, "You're replacing your running sneakers already?" I'm like, "Yep, it's time." So running sneakers most important, and then Julie kind of hit on the clothing and wearing some bright clothing. If you do run at night or kind of at dusk, there are some like blinking light kind of things that you can also get other than just like lights, but there are things that you can get that go on the back of your sneakers. I think I get them right on Amazon that can flash, so those can be helpful. And definitely, in addition to the running hat and sunglasses, I'm a big advocate for sunscreen too. Just because right, we're doing the try for a cure, so we want to protect our skin, because being outside for long periods of time, even if it's cloudy, can definitely wreak havoc on our bodies. So and then let's see, I was going to talk a little bit about stretching too, because sometimes people are like, what do I do for stretching? I hear I should not stretch before, I should not stretch after, I should stretch before. So I recommend dynamic stretching or dynamic warm up before running. So if you haven't heard of that, I'll go through a little routine as well. And actually, I was gonna post that. Julie, did you send out that link for the video?
Yeah, after this is over, we will send out this particular video with the PDF that we all have seen with that on there.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So there's gonna be a little video coming, but I'll just demo some of the dynamic warm-up that I go through before a run. And so there's two different types of stretching that you'll hear. Like dynamic stretching is one of them and static stretching is the other. So dynamic is the best thing to do before your run. And what dynamic stretching is it's active stretching. So it's moving, it's warming up our muscles. And the static stretching is more of what we all think of as stretching, where you get into position and you hold it for 30 seconds. That type of stretching is great for after running. So before running, you don't want to do a static stretch, because you don't want to take a cold muscle into a long elongated stretch and holding it, because it's actually, you could end up injuring your muscles. So so the dynamic warm up, it's actually warming your muscles, it's getting them ready, it's mimicking some of the movements you're going to do for running. So it's definitely the best thing to do before. And then the static stretching is best for after, because after you're running, you want to cool down and you want to do that static stretching on a warmed up muscle. That way it will allow you to kind of get into that stretch and not resist it so much. So so I'm just gonna I'll just take you through a couple of them. I'm kind of in my living room here, but I'll just take you through a little routine. That video that's going to come has I think 16 different dynamic warm-up stretches that you can do. You can Google, there's tons of different things you can do. There's no right or wrong. So, but I'll just kind of take you through my routine. I usually say do like 3 to 5 minutes. I won't spend that much time today, but 3 to 5 minutes is a really good amount of time to get warmed up and get fully prepared for your run. So, all right. So one of the things here, I'm not going to be able to get my whole body in here, but that's okay. So one of the things I do, I just start with some leg swings. So just, you may need to hold on to something. Some days my balance is better than others. Today it seems to be pretty good, but sometimes I'm wobbling all over the place. So I'll go front and back for leg swings. And then I'll also go across. This is where I might get a little out of balance, but I'll go across the body. So I do about like 10 to 12 reps for each side. And you'll probably find one side you have better balance than the other side. That's pretty normal. And then I'll just go right into just some simple squats. My heart rate's already starting to get up. I'm already starting to get sweaty and warmed up. Let's see, and then just another quick one can just be some knee pulls. Another one I go into is just like a quick glute hip opener. And you kind of don't want to go beyond, with any kind of stretching, you don't want to go beyond your range of motion where you're getting into anything that's painful or pulling beyond where your body wants to go. Let's see, I'm going to turn sideways so you can see just like a hamstring kind of stretch here. And just some simple like calf raises. So I just kind of come up and down. This gets into your ankle as well. And then I'm a big fan, just to get the heart rate a little bit higher, I'll just go into some regular old jumping jacks. So that's just kind of like, they're all really simple. So there's nothing, nothing scary about them. We've all done all of these things before, but you really want to do that stuff before you run. So see, I'm already like winded. And then for just your static stretching, I like to just hit the big muscle groups. So just, your old fashioned kind of quad stretch. And it's okay if you need to hold on to something when you do these. Sometimes I'll put my arm up just to get some balance. Now I'll get into some hamstrings. So some of them can be similar to the dynamic warm-up. So on my static stretch for hamstrings, I do the same motion, but now I'm just gonna kind of hold it. And again, I hold them for like 20 to 30 seconds. Let's see, what am I missing? Oh, calves are a big one. So you can just find a quick wall or something and just do a nice calf stretch. So again, they're probably things you've seen even from like the 1970s, a lot of them too, but believe it or not, when we do them right, they're very effective. Let me see if I missed anything else. One other thing I really like to do is I just cross over a leg and I just do like a nice side bend. Because believe it or not, like when we're running, our upper body does work too. So it's nice just to kind of get that back and our sides stretched out as well. And then you can add anything else that just feels good. So that's kind of the differences between the different kinds of stretching. And then sometimes, after a run or a bike or a swim, if I'm really sore, another nice thing to do is some people love ice baths. And some people like nice warm Epsom salt baths. So your choice. Some people love the cold. Some people are like, no way. But those can be things to help recovery as well. Let's see. So running program. So I'll chat just a little bit about like running. So if you're brand new to running, but didn't look like there were any new Try for a Cure people this year, so I'm guessing you've all have some experience running, but there are some really great, I'm a huge advocate for starting slow and being very conservative. So if you haven't been running all winter, so sometimes a lot of people will come out of winter and spring and get ready for Try for Cure time, and then they're like, okay, yep, I'm just gonna go run 3 miles. If you haven't been doing anything over the winter, I'm a huge fan of starting with a run walk program. That's, there are ones you can Google for that, like Couch to 5K is very popular. But it's just a matter of like starting out with, maybe it's 4 minutes of walking, 1 minute of running, and then progressing to 2 and 3, and finally progressing so that you can gradually build up to be able to run that whole 3.1 miles. And then even if you're not doing the run walk, just building your mileage, safely. There's like a unwritten rule out there, which I actually think they're starting to debunk a little bit, but it still is kind of the norm. What a lot of coaches teach is, not increasing your weekly mileage more than 10%. So just really listening to your body and not increasing your mileage too much too fast, or even going out into speed work too fast. So spending, a few weeks doing what I call base building. So that's just building that cardiovascular system to get ready to do more intense workouts. So there are lots of ways to prevent injuries, and a lot of those things are just kind of taking things slowly, and we all just want to get out there and run fast, and actually I say slower running actually can make you faster, believe it or not. So and then one thing, with everything that's going on right now is, I'm a huge advocate for really listening to your body, but also, we always look at past years and we're like, this is where, oh, this is what I did last year for Try for Cure, and I feel like I'm in the same shape as I was last year, so I should be able to do it in this amount of time. But you go out for a run and you're just not feeling like you're where you want to be. So it's been a very stressful year so far. So just like allowing yourself to be fully honest with where you are right now, and it may not be where you want to be or where you've been before. That's okay. And actually say, this is the year that it's okay, because we're going to be virtual. So just take that expectation right off. But, just having that allowance. And some days you may feel really great and get out there and have an awesome training day, and some days you may not even be able to get out the front door. So that can happen no matter what, but I feel like that's, a lot of people are trying to fight through some of that, but sometimes just the best thing for your body is just to listen to that and take that rest day, or take some allowance, or just go for a walk. Believe it or not, it will be better for your body in the long run. So I've just been doing a lot of training and talking about that aspect of things this year. Let's see, I think Julie kind of hit all of the traffic and safety things, but one thing, as far as running towards traffic, I always run towards traffic, and I'm always ready to actually, I've had to do this a few times, I'm always ready to have to dive into the bushes off the side of the road, because sometimes people don't see you. But other spots where it can be really, sketchy can be like if you're coming around a curve, sometimes cars really can't see you and you can't see them. So just being a little more alert, and also hills. So if you're coming up a hill, just being mindful. Sometimes cars, depending on where you live, I live in Windham, and I know cars can just fly down the road. So sometimes they come up all those hills really fast. So just being really mindful. And if you do wear earphones, if I'm ever out with earphones, those are the spots that I actually will turn my volume off or pause it if I'm coming up around something, so that I can hear if there's a car coming. So those are some tips with that. Let's see, I think I kind of blew through it all. I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything. I'm happy to answer.
Maura, I know everyone's nutrition is kind of different, but do you have any kind of tips? I know we're a little bit different and people might not be doing, swim, bike, run, but anything you've noticed is helpful for you?
Yeah, my general rule of thumb, for hydration, is if whatever you're doing for exercise that day, whether you're combining two sports or just going out for just a run or just a bike. I always say have water. And my general rule of thumb is if you're going for 60 minutes or less, like just water is okay. But if I go beyond the 60 minutes mark, I'll usually have, so between 60 and 90 minutes, I'll have something that has electrolytes in it, like I think Noon. I don't even know if I pronounced that right. Something, I usually will pick something that doesn't have calories or sugar or anything in it for that. You can even make your own. And then when I get beyond 90, like 90 and beyond, that's when I do electrolytes with something with some calories, like, Gatorade's popular. I don't use Gatorade. I use a brand called Scratch that's a little more natural, but there's a lot of different brands out there where I start adding calories at that point. But, and then just general nutrition, I would say staying very hydrated. If you're a morning exerciser, still, I advocate for eating breakfast before going out, something light. Like I'll eat a little bit of oatmeal in the morning. I can run like 30 minutes after eating oatmeal. Some people need more time, so if that means getting up earlier to get those calories in. If I'm going longer, I'll add peanut butter or something to my oatmeal. But yeah, like I don't know if that answered the question. Like,
Definitely. It's all.
Go on for hours. It can get very complex, but yeah.
No, I feel like I've been getting into a bad eating rut, so it's nice to get a reminder of what might work a little better.
Yes. Yes, I actually put on running shorts for the first time because it's finally warm enough, and they're all of my running shorts are skin tight right now. So I was like, like, this quarantine hasn't been so good for me,
COVID-19. That's what it is, right?
Yeah. Yep. So, and I've still been exercising, but I find the difference is my day-to-day movement. Like I'm not moving at work. I'm trying to be more mindful too throughout the day to move more, because I can't believe that it does make just that movement, your daily life makes it a big difference.
I found that with running too, that if I've been sitting at my desk all day, like I have been, and then I go for a run, it's really hard to get warmed up. So we miss out on having that, like during the day, going to the grocery store, going to work, going to happy hour. I guess you would hopefully not be going to happy hour before you go running, but all the little things you don't think about that warm you up. So I think your dynamic stretches are probably going to be even more helpful right now.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. Definitely. Well, awesome.
So in the PDF that we're sending out, there's a lot of there's a whole bunch of there's a video about dynamic stretching. There's a couple of websites about running rules of the road, things like that. I think at the last clinic, I also wanted to talk a little bit about FAQs. There's a lot of on the website. There's a big long FAQ question and answer thing in the back, and those would be really good to look at too. I think they're attached to all the PDFs that we have for the clinics too. So any other questions, like outside of running stuff, or try 101, but there's a great FAQ list too. So anybody have any questions? Well, good.
I'll take everyone off mute really quickly, and we can all say hi. Unmute all. There we go.
Thank you very much. The information you provided is going to be helpful. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Have you guys been out for runs yet?
No, a lot of walking.
Well, there you go. So you're out. I mean, you're out. Just gotta, maybe pick it up a little, and that's a great thing. Like, Maura, we talk about this with anybody that's doing it. So, pick a couple telephone poles along the way and maybe jog or walk a little faster, or just move faster during those times, and keep pushing yourself a little bit more, because that helps with progress. Unless you push, you never progress. And so sometimes it has to hurt a little bit,
Oh.
just not a lot. How about you, Maddie? Are you running at all?
I went on a run today, which was nice,
Nice.
but slowly getting back into it.
Yeah, I know it's hard.
The weather helps, though, I'm sure, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
The spring
Yes, absolutely.
brutal.
I know. And tomorrow we're all going to be complaining because it's going to be 80 degrees out. And I'm like, it's too hot. I can't do anything today.
Yep.
Well, it was great seeing all of you. We'll see you again. And again, don't forget to don't hesitate. If you have any questions, let us know.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Bye.
Bye.